Representative El-Mahdi Holly. Georgia State Representative El-Mahdi Holly was elected into office in 2018, making history as the first African-American and first Democrat to win his historically Republican semi-rural district. Currently, as a state representative of the House District 116, Representative El-Mahdi Holly chairs the bipartisan Henry County Legislative Delegate and actively serves the working family of Georgia. His district covers both Henry County and Clayton County, including portions of the city of Hampton, Jonesboro, Lovejoy, McDonough, and Stockbridge. He also sits as a member of the House Committee on Code Revision, the Industrial and Labor Committee, and the Transportation Committee. Representative El-Mahdi Holly also founded and is the co-chairman of the Georgia African Legislative Caucus and is an executive council member of the nation's largest Black caucus. Known colloquially as El, Representative El-Mahdi Holly has proudly called Henry County home since 2003. Raised in Georgia by his father, a Christian minister and businessman, and his mother, a local college professor, El-Mahdi Holly has taught the importance of serving his community at a very early age. After being awarded the National Youth Service Award from President Bill Clinton and for his efforts mentoring young teens, Representative Holly pursued and received a Bachelor's of Art from Morehouse College.
Morehouse.
He went on to earn a Master's of Public Administration from the University of West Georgia. And he's a proud member of Tabernacle of Praise Church in McDonough. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. Show your appreciation for our keynote speaker today, State Representative El-Mahdi Holly. If you look at his Facebook page, if you have an event where you playing old school hip hop, El-Mahdi Holly gonna take your dance floor up.
As he would know, it's because of the influence of my Chicago parents. So
Chi-Town.
my mother will tell you she was one of the very first Soul Train dancers. You Generation Alpha folks, y'all don't know nothing about it. No, thank you for allowing me to be able to bless our young teens that you all have poured your time and talent and experience into. It brings me pleasure not only to be here today, just to be able to, in fact, I'm gonna kind of walk around here. I can do that, all right? It's not only is it a blessing to be here, but I think that when we think about our presence means a lot in this room because we know that there have been people in our children's lives as they grew to become the men that we can respect that wish that they could be here, but are not here.
That's right.
People who've taken the time, maybe even someone that you knew dearly, wanted to be here, but they were called home to be with the Lord. People who could have been your friends from time past, but somehow your life went in a whole different trajectory than theirs. Even though you're not able to see the people who have poured into your lives, we have an obligation to live out the truth and the best that they saw in us. And that's true for each of you who are graduating this humble community to go into a world outside that you have yet to fully see. But the truth about your presence here is that you are surrounded by people who look upon you lovingly because we are each grateful for your presence. We're grateful for your presence because it reminds us that we were once where you sit. And in our humble capacities, we were wondering if people really cared about us as much as you feel we are caring about you in this room. See, the thing is that each of us can at times get very lonely when you realize that so much has been so much has been granted to you that you never actually worked for. You've been provided bountiful gifts through grace. Grace is unearned. It's just provided to you out of sheer love. And that love is so bounding that it doesn't limit itself to just academia. Just doesn't say, okay, well, we're going to provide you with textbooks and we'll require you to do your homework and we'll, give us your test papers so we can do a tutorial and we can see if you're doing well. No. The true love of grace provides you with the ability to make mistakes and still know that you aren't cast away.
Ooh.
That you can still find a better way to live, to treat the people around you with respect, even though you may not fully know how to communicate that in a way that they'll fully receive it. That's the type of grace that we operate in. It's what allows for us to be able to lean upon our neighbors and realize that in times where we just don't have it, and we don't know how our bill is going to get paid, or where the next check is coming from, or whether we can actually deal with the mounting pressures of having to be fiscally solvent in all areas of our lives. Grace is the type where you can know that your neighbor is going through something similar. May not tell you. Pride often keeps us to keep that secret, where we're not letting others know exactly what we're going through. But when you show up on your Saturdays, when you show up throughout the week, and you give your time to community organizations like this Phi Beta Sigma fraternal commitment to these students, you are reminded every time you walk into this building that in each of the faces that you see is a reflection of you. And while you may not have it all together on certain days, there are certain times where you actually do. I'm a man of faith. I believe that God grants us a little bit of serenity at times where we may not afford that to ourselves. And you all know what I'm talking about. Each of you have pressured yourself. There's times when you don't feel fully able to walk out of the house with your head held high. Maybe there's someone who you love and miss who's thought you could be more, and you are pressuring yourself, looking in the mirror every day to wonder whether you are meeting their standards. But that's why fellowship is so important. Fellowship, literally, it's about sitting next to the people who are right next to you, and then looking them straight in their eye and asking them to reveal to you the truth as they see it. That's how we're able to see each other as fully human, because our stories are what sets us apart. We are, all of us, our community, we all have different paths from which we come. But in making ourselves available, by sitting here dressing up in these blues and these whites, by a father and son, we're tying their own bow tie and wearing that here, okay? Nice rep tie as well.
Yes.
The fact that you are showing yourself to the public, it's a way to impart a level of respect upon your neighbor who sits by you, but also you're planting fertile ground for these students and how they see leadership, how they see active civic engagement. You're giving them the promise for what could be should they be fortunate enough to see their later years as an adult. And that's why it's so important for us to honor our young men, as well as the families and the supportive friends and the sisters and the mothers and all those who poured into the young people who are coming out of this quality institution, who are ready to take on the world and not only make themselves better, but make this society better. I'm sure that if you look around the room and if you had conversations with the elders around here, those of us who have no problem showing the silver in our
Amen.
facial here, okay? All right, some of you all got some of it, streaks of it here, a little bit, okay?
Come on.
Then some of you all just went straight, full glory.
Come on.
Well, this is a space that has been cultivated by Phi Beta Sigma. When I think about good Sigma brothers, like A. Philip Randolph,
Oh,
the
all right.
founder of the Brotherhood of the Sleeping Car Porters,
Yes, sir. Asa.
who was able to champion for daily workers
Yes.
on the trains
Yes.
throughout our area, long before you had your CSX, and
Yes.
long before your Norfolk Southern.
Yes.
And
Shout
you
out
had
to my
people who were
granddaddy.
able to travel
Thank you,
the country,
granddaddy.
whether it's for business,
Yes.
whether it's for pleasure, whether it was to leave town because there was a price on their head.
Yes.
They were able to get on the trains and be able to get proper service. Sometimes they were not dignified with the level of respect that they earned. But in keeping with the level of camaraderie, Brother A. Philip Randolph was even able to take this push to get that respect even to Washington, D.C., where even he had the idea that you could organize a people and to claim a level of rights and dignity because you earned it. The men of Phi Beta Sigma are known as the men of fire and brimstone.
That's right.
Am I lying?
No, you ain't lying.
This is what I leave for our graduates of this program. I would like for you to look at that candle that sits on your table. And while you might think, okay, that's a really nice fixture, it's so elaborately furnished with all the little pearls and the white water. Here's the truth about that little flame there. It's symbolic of what you have inside you. I think there's three things, if I could be quite honest with you, that I believe that you need to take from this moment that should remind you of the flicker of that flame. One, in fact, maybe I should probably even have you repeat it. Let me have our graduates stand up. Let me see. Yeah. Graduates, I want you to repeat after me. Feed your flame.
That get louder. Get
Like,
louder.
oh, man, on mics. All right? Actually, I'm gonna help you out. This is something that I perfected when I was at the Capitol. Most people don't know this, right? When you want to speak and you want people to hear you, you don't speak from your throat. Instead, you force the air from your stomach up. Out.
Oh, all right.
Okay? It's the difference from saying, men, repeat after me, and men, repeat after me. Notice that?
Yeah.
I didn't get stressed out or strained.
No.
I can talk as loudly as I need, and I'm still sophisticated. So actually, I'm going to change this around. Make this personal. You're going to say, repeat after me. I will feed my flame.
I will feed my flame.
Okay, come on, a little bit more. I will feed my flame.
I will feed my flame.
All right. I will lift my flame higher.
I will lift my flame higher.
There's another time. I will lift my flame higher here.
I will lift my flame higher.
Good. And the last one I like. No one shall blow out my flame.
No one shall blow out my flame.
All right. Thank you. Y'all have a seat.
Outstanding, Brad.
It's very easy when we can think about that. Literally feeding your flame. School here is to help you actually get ingrained in yourself a level of rigor, a level of regimen, where it's a study of how to get better, how to improve in life, that you let nothing stop you from your education. Your education just doesn't stop because you're out of that classroom. As soon as you leave out of here and you have that driver's license and you go onto that road, life is going to set up a series of challenges that you're going to have to overcome. And the only way that you overcome it is because you're constantly pouring into yourself to make yourself better. That's why I firmly believe in having a library card. I know most people don't use those anymore, right? But if TikTok is eating up your brain, if you know that China even has a very different algorithm, and as Ms. Skittles was talking about, it's a very different algorithm that is given to Chinese youth who are using TikTok than what than the algorithm that you are using when you get on that. Guess what? The entire time you are still being educated, but sometimes you have to be defensive about the things that you are being educated on. And that is life. Life will be able to throw at you some things, obstacles, also opportunities, and you're going to have to be ready to seize those moments and be able to act upon them. But you can't do that unless you're constantly feeding your flame. You've got to make sure that whatever you feed yourself with, that you are responsible and accountable for the knowledge that you take in. That's how you feed your flame. That number two. The number two is you got to lift your flame higher. Why? Because, raise your hand if you ever heard this song, This Little Light of Mine. Right? Why is that so necessary? Because we know for the one who gave of his life to make sure that we could walk into a space of freedom, the one that we prayed to this morning over our food, that one that we all know perfectly for ourselves, that in our time of need, there was that friend who was there, that friend indeed, that you can call on and will hear you and doesn't require you to do anything more but to speak purposefully, to speak authentically, to be true in the moment. You take one step and he takes two to you. Lifting the flame higher is the example he gives so that when we bond in fellowship, we might be able to shine a light on those around us, to be able to lift them up and give them the opportunity to realize their own glow. Also, it allows for us to be able to see that we can inspire each other to be better than we are. Lastly, let no one blow out your flame. We still live in a society of imbalance. This is one of the things, and you can allow me just a small little bit of time just to be political in a way that you have not yet heard. I'm not blaming any political parties. I'm not even blaming any particular persons. But I do know that a system of humans, where humans are working together, humans can also work against each other. And it is in those spaces that you will find the truth of who you are. Which is why you make sure that when you walk out of here, no matter where you find yourself, you be the protector of that flame. Don't let anybody blow it out. Don't let the people around you make rash decisions in a moment that you find yourself having to judge why you were even with them in the first place. Make sure that you can be the one that protects that. Because that flame that you have is representative of all the gifts that your ancestors have given you. All the gifts that people who came before you, whose names you never even knew, did so because they had a hope for you. That flame represents what the one upstairs who provides you with every blessing that you have in your life is giving you. Because as sure as the brothers here of Phi Beta Sigma and the Zeta sisters will tell you, the strongest flame that was ever lit is the blue flame.
Ooh.
Let that blue flame reside in you. Thank you.
Wow.